It's time for coffee.
Here we go. Time for coffee.
Welcome to Time Ministries in the Dominican Republic. I'm Chris Anderson. This is my lovely wife, Cindy. And my first question is, how long do we have to wait before we can eat these desserts?
You can start whenever you want to.
It's almost my birthday.
Tomorrow.
That's going to be really good. All right, well, we're so glad that you are here to join us today for July's edition of It's Time for Coffee. Remember, we try to do this every month, the last Sunday of the month. And so here we are at Studio B, which is our apartment here in San Domingo. Now, normally we would have been working with a team. We might have been coming to you from the Time Center, but because of some COVID situations, our group had to postpone, and so for that reason, we are back at home, and we're looking forward to serving with our group again next year. So while we're talking about this and waiting for folks to come on, maybe do a little update about where we are and what's been going on since our last broadcast. I know we had 1 day left when our last team was here from the Mission Church and Westchester Church and a family from the Lutheran Church of Hope Ankeny campus in Des Moines, and then we had our friends Stevie and Nick from Faith Community Church.
Yeah.
They had 1 day left when we did our last broadcast, and so we have wrapped up our teams for the summer season, and it really has been a blessing to start getting back into the routine of things. We did have a great first week of the summer. Oh, Mr. Rondo is here.
Hey, Chuck.
Chuck and Tammy, good to
Good
hear
to see you.
from you guys. And he's saying happy birthday. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow, so thank you, Chuck. Anyway, so we had a group of 4 from Pleasant Hill Church of the Brethren, or group of 5. That was our first team of the summer, and they did quite a bit of work with Pastor Alberto Felix and building a chapel, doing VBS. And it was a great sort of a soft start to the summer, not having a huge group. We were a little bit rusty trying to get back into the routine of hosting teams, and but it was a great team to have. And then following that, we had our team, our guess we could say our 3 teams, 4 teams in a way of groups from various different churches. Serving with Pastor Carlos and Sarah up at Pica Pica. They have a couple of church plants up there, and one area we were working was an area called Porquero, where we built the chapel, and they needed an extension built onto that chapel and some bathrooms as well. So there was a full week of work up there. Ministry, sports ministry, and VBS and women's ministry. Yes,
Yeah.
Anjali and our good friend Sherry Winters from Westchester did a women's ministry program there throughout the week. So it was really a blessed time of all of our various different ministries going on at once, serving the Lord, serving Pastor Carlos and his community in Pica Pica. And so that kind of has wrapped up our summer season. Although we are happy to announce we did get another group that was scheduled for September, and that's an unusual time of year for us. But we really would love to have groups year round. And it was a friend of ours, Pastor Richard Hopkins, who has been in a couple of different churches and brought teams down. They were planning to go to Haiti, but due to the unrest going on there, they asked if our ministry was available and open, and we said, you bet. So coming up in September, we'll be hosting a group from a church in Georgia.
Yes, and so as you mentioned, we do host groups year-round, and so we are open, and we know that there are challenges and risks, and we have seen God answer prayer And so we are very thankful for the decisions of some of the groups that they have made according to their feeling and what has happened in their communities. And that is okay, because God is good. God is good all the time. This has been a great summer. It has been a great opportunity for us to get back into it. And now, with a group coming in September, we are really excited to see what God is going to do in and through this new group. And also, did you know, we're willing to take groups for 2022.
That's right.
And so
Our schedule is not posted yet on the website. We're working on that, but we do have the dates selected. So if you are interested and you'd like to bring a team down, don't worry if you don't see the dates on the website yet. We do have those reserved, so give us a call, send us a message, and we'll let you know. We have a couple that have shown interest already for the summer, and we do have a couple of confirmed groups already for spring break of 2022. So we are ready to go, raring to go, and we even heard rumors about a possible group during Christmas break. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But that's another good time to come down. Of course, students are off. And especially if you live in the northern part of the U.S., what better time to come down to the Dominican Republic to get some warmer weather.
It is cooler around that time for us. You'd be surprised right now with the heat and the summer and the humidity. Right around November, December, we do get a greater temperature change from the evenings and the mornings and through the rest of the day. So really, it is beautiful around December, January, and February. And so if you're looking at those times, we're open. We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to talk to your church. Because also, we'll be sharing in a little bit about our possible trip to the States and how we could come and visit you at your church. But what we'd like to share right now is, since the end of June, what have we been doing? What does regular life look like for us on the field here? And so one of the things, Chris, you've been doing, and it has been on YouTube, is our 100 Stories. Would you share a little bit about that and what that is?
You bet. 100 Stories came out of a discussion that we've had, wondering, we've talked about the number of chapels that Time has been blessed to have built with all of you, all of our groups. And since 1992, we estimate that nearly 400 of those chapels have been built. It's an incredible number, incredible blessing, even a few in Haiti. And one of the questions that comes up is, well, what happens with those churches after the group leaves? Because at the end of the week, most of the time we just have a shell of a building. The floor is not completed, it hasn't been painted. And so wondering, well, this model of ministry that we do of building these chapels, does it really work? Is it really effective? And how does it work long term? And so out of that, we came up with this idea of the 100 Stories, following up with some of these chapels that maybe we don't see very often. Of course, we take a lot of our groups to nearby chapels to do ministry, but some of the ones that are farther away, we don't often visit again. And so myself and John Carlos, we have made an effort to start reaching out to these churches. And so far we have visited maybe about 20. If you look at the stories that we posted on our Facebook page and on Time Ministries YouTube page, we're on story number 28. But some of those churches we've done 2 or 3 stories at, because there's just so much to talk about. And just this past Thursday, we visited 4 more chapels. And all of those chapels are currently being used as well. So far, I think with the exception of maybe one, all of the chapels that we have visited are still being used actively for ministry. One of those was a chapel that our home church, Indianola Heights E-Free Church in Des Moines, Iowa, built back in 2011. It was the first mission trip that they took, and that church is still being used. And so it really is a blessing to see that yes, this idea of building chapels and hosting short-term groups is working and is blessing those pastors in those communities, even in some cases where the pastors have moved on. Maybe they have passed away and gone home to be in glory, but the church is still there and still functioning and still bringing glory to the Lord in those communities. So 100 stories is great. We've got a lot more to go. And it's a good thing we've got our Isuzu Trooper that some of you have followed us with has been needed, especially this last Thursday when we traveled around. Some of those roads are pretty rough and pretty challenging to get to. So it's great, and it's an adventure, and stay tuned. Again, you can see these stories on the Time Ministries YouTube page. We post them on our Facebook page. We post them on Instagram. And this is a shout out also to our Mexico team in Monterrey. They've got stories too, and they did do one a couple of months ago about one of their interns who had been on a short-term trip and came back. And so it's not always stories just about the chapels that we work with, but also for you. So if you have a great testimony, a great story about what God has done in your life, maybe a change in the way that you view the world since you went on a mission trip with Time, please get in touch with us. We would love to feature you and your story, because your story can glorify the Lord as well. So that's it's been really a fun project to work on. And Cindy's been doing some projects too. She's been working with our team, doing some professional development. This was something that when you were a teacher a few years ago, really was exciting and motivating for you, was to help develop the next generation of teachers that were coming in, and now you've brought some of that to our ministry as well.
Yes, so when I was teaching, those of you in Des Moines, I taught at Hyatt Middle School. That was my last teaching position, and it was there that I learned that God may have been calling me to do professional development. It was something I really stepped away from. I thought, no, that's really not me. But in the end, it was something God drew me to, and I continued to do it through my career, and He's brought it to here, to the field. And so we've been able to take this time to develop our team, to really utilize the time wisely that we have to invest in each other and get to know each other more. One of the pieces and books that we have been using is The Emotionally Healthy Spiritual Leader. And so with that book by Peter Scazzazzo, he really looks at key aspects of looking at ourselves on the inside, then looking at the team as a whole. So on a monthly basis, we take one staff meeting a month and we go through a chapter together. And so it's really been great to have the videos, the intro videos, and then the book for us to go through. It's both in English and in Spanish. And so it really allows our whole team to get involved. So it's one of the things I have really loved to do and to facilitate, and to see how we can get to know each other more. Because when we get to know each other, we really build into each other and learn how we can love each other, how God has created each and every person on the team in His unique way. And so it's been a great opportunity. We look forward to doing more. And so we have much more to do and much more to learn about ourselves and each other too. And so with that, what we've been developing in our team is, or has been, their personal ministries. As you may know, each of our missionaries has a passion. Noe really is passionate about pastors, and Anjali about women's ministry. Becca has brought her English teaching to the field and is now teaching English. Carol and Crossman Hasiel have a passion for youth, for young adults, and helping them stay close to Christ. John Carlos and Tyler have been doing sports ministry, and then also Kenny really has been developing himself in how to look at new ways we can look and do things efficiently in the maintenance and property and maintenance area. And so what other comments would you have about the personal ministries we've been encouraging the team to be involved in?
Yeah, it really is exciting because, as Cindy mentioned, there is a portion of the year when we don't have groups coming in. And while we would love to see groups year-round, every week we know that is a challenge, especially during the school year. But we have a great team, a qualified team of missionaries here that God has gifted in various ways. And like you said, the sports ministry program in particular with John Carlos and Tyler, they would really like to start training youth in the churches to lead sports ministry. So instead of JC and Tyler having to visit each and every church, every week, to be able to train people, train young leaders in those churches to take over sports ministry and to provide them with a set of basic equipment, whether it's basketballs, baseball equipment, you name it. And it really is a way to help grow the church and the service that we can provide for the pastors of those churches as well, to further attract people to the gospel and bring people to the gospel, or I should say take the gospel to people that maybe wouldn't just walk into a church. Teenage kids out there on the basketball court or hitting a baseball, maybe a little hesitant to walk into a church, but we can take it to them. So continue to pray for JC and for Tyler, and of course they're always looking for donations, whether they're financial or sports equipment, used equipment, balls, gloves, bats, you name it. It can be used for God's glory. In addition, another one that really stands out is Anjali's women's ministry. She really has a passion for visiting pastors' wives and counseling pastors' wives. She has gone through quite a bit of training in that. And for any of you that are married or those of you pastors' wives that may be watching, you know how stressful life can be. And so she really has a passion for that. She has done a number of one-day conferences visiting churches in the area. And of course, I think she's planning on the big women's conference this fall coming up in early November. So ladies, if you are interested, please get in contact with us. We'll get you in touch with Anjali. We hope, and we haven't told her this yet, so if she's listening, we might have her as a special guest next month for our next time for coffee to share about the conference coming up and how you can participate. And a lot of women might say, well, I'm not a guest speaker, I'm not a Nancy Lee DeMoss or somebody like that, but every woman has a testimony.
Yes, and also women have come down to help in the kitchen, to help make the meals during the conference, or to make special baked goods. That's really a specialty here, like this, these are examples, but anything and everything, everyone has a testimony. God is working in your life, and you have a story, and you know God in an intimate way, and your ability and in the chance of you coming down and the way that you know God is what would share and advance missions through here and through that Women's Ministries conference. And so there's ways to know God and to advance missions that we never thought were possible. And so there are ways that people continue to call us in those ways. And one of those that some of you may be aware is that I have a MOPS ministry. That Chris and I, in May, celebrated 23 years of marriage, but Paul's only 8 and Sophia's 5. So in looking at the math, we had Chris before. Yeah, we just waited a little bit before we had children. And that was all God's planning and God's leading in our lives. And so when we got here and found out we were pregnant, in some of our early years in ministry, God really stretched us, and it was learning how to do this ministry, how to do ministry and have children. Well, one of the ways that I saw that maybe we could serve and help was to start a mom's group. And some of you may be aware of MOPS, International Mothers of Preschoolers. And that is an organization that is stateside, and it comes out of Denver, Colorado. And through MOPS International, we were able to start the first MOPS groups here in the Dominican Republic. Right now, we have 3 full functioning groups going with over 50 to 60 women involved in those. I've had some conversations with some other churches here in the field that were praying in the country if they will start. But also, one of the things I've been able to do is to expand my reach and also help MOPS more in the Caribbean. And so I've been working alongside our Latin American director, and we have just been able to coach through a new woman, Clara Turner, who is started MOPS in Haiti. And so some of the first groups in Haiti have already started too. So the expansion of God's reach is immense. And what's happening this past year has been rough for moms here, especially in the DR. Virtual schooling, having little ones in the home and big ones all together, all day. Virtual schooling all year. Now we have heard there is, from the president here, that there is a possibility of going to in-person classes in the fall. But we continue to pray for God's leading and direction in all of that. But through our MOPS groups, they have been able to reach those women for Christ, to encourage them, strengthen them, and to help them through this time, through COVID and everything that has happened over this last year. And we hope that continues, because
there's a conference coming up, and you'll be attending and taking one of your co-leaders with.
Yes, and so I'd love for you to pray for that. We'd love to have you come alongside of us and partner with us in prayer. And that is a conference in September to go to Nashville, Tennessee, where the International MOPS International Conference will be this year. And so hoping to be able to also take one leader with me to train her, encourage her, strengthen her relationship with God, and also share her testimony with others and how MOPS and how God truly is changing her life also. So please be in prayer for that. We do have a financial need with that. If you'd like to know more, you can message us to find out, and we would love to share that with you. But please be in prayer, most importantly, because I'll be leaving Chris home with the kids, and also leaving the day after school starts, which is beyond my control because the conference, if I'm able to go, starts right on Wednesday, September 8th. So it'll be a real quick travel and straight into meetings and opportunities right when I get to Tennessee. So God has answered prayer, and we're looking forward to it.
Amen.
And so as we look at that, we also have some upcoming news.
Yes, we were finally able to schedule a home assignment visit. This has been somewhat of a challenge, of course, with COVID coming along and travel restrictions, and of course now with children in school, it's a little more challenging to find the right time to pull them out of classes, because we still have to find a way to teach them on the road as we're traveling around. And so we are going to be headed to the States, to the upper Midwest, mainly Minnesota and Iowa, at the very end of October through the early part of January. And I keep joking with people, of course that's not the primary time of year that I would choose, but even growing up there, my blood has thinned out now, and it can be a bit chilly, but it works very well for our schedule, for the kids' schooling schedule. And so yes, we'll be spending some time with family who we haven't seen in 2 years. Grandparents want to see the grandkids, and visiting cousins and aunts and uncles and so forth, are good friends and partners. So we've already reached out to some of you, as we mentioned in our last newsletter. But if we haven't reached out yet, please feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to get together with you. And if you also have connections with other churches that may be interested in short-term missions and a trip with Time Ministries, we'd love to share with them too. There is so much work to be done. There's so many pastors that are still in need. We would love to have more groups. So please let us know if you have other contacts with groups too.
And maybe you have a small group. Maybe you host a small group in your home, or you attend a small group and you would like us to speak at that. We would love to talk with you. We would love to find out opportunities to share more about what's happening in the DR and how more people can be involved. And so right now we do have, as Chris mentioned, some churches already scheduled, and we're looking at seeing you and hoping that we can share more about what God is doing.
Amen. It's going to be a good time and a great way to share about the incredible things God is doing in the Dominican Republic and in Mexico too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you'd like to know more about what's going on in Monterey, we can share about that too, because they would love to have some teams come down and do some ministry there as well.
And keep them in your prayers, as they're in the middle of a team right now.
That's right.
There is a team in Mexico right now, and they have been sharing, and we're just at their partner church, Nuevo Pacto, this morning, sharing during the morning service. And so it's really been amazing. They did a men's barbecue outreach to men, and then also a baking camp for women, and to share the gospel through that. So the gospel can be reached in so many ways. It's amazing to see how God is working.
Yes, amazing. And God is working in amazing ways through our family. And just a quick little personal update about what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, so really we were able to get the kids into a summer camp here, and it actually was a music camp. And it really developed them in so many ways, and also the chance for Paul to not only play the trumpet, but to play the violin. And he really seemed to have been a natural, and he loved that. Another highlight was for Sophie. She started ballet classes and is completely enjoying those. And then just last week we picked up Paul's certificate of completion of his first year in his trumpet classes, and also meeting with the director to find that he got very high honors for his first year. And so we're very excited in the things that we are beginning to see how their personalities develop, and their interests are also developing. And actually school is just around the corner, and so already getting ready with school books and supplies, and it'll be here before you know it. I know the first day of school officially right now is set to be September 6th. And so really this next month is going to be a little bit quieter, kind of more of a break, but hoping we can do some fun family things with them before the fall really kicks off, because it's going to be a busy fall for us.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know if you can overhear that. That's not our kids crying. It's out in the hallway. The microphones we usually use aren't working right now, so we've got the mic on the camera, and I think somebody got hurt out in the hallway. So yeah, it's great. As we mentioned at the beginning, ministry moves on, and we keep busy. One of the things I forgot to mention when we were talking about personal ministries and so forth, Anjali, as we mentioned, is doing women's conferences and women's meeting. Noe has expressed some interest in doing pastoral conferences. As you know, Noe pastors a church here in the DR, and he's also had a passion for sharing and teaching. So we are trying to figure out a good time to do a pastor's conference, and perhaps bringing in some guest speakers. So if you are a pastor watching and are interested in coming down and sharing, let us know, and we will let you know when we have a program organized and set up for that. So we have lots and lots of opportunities. And if you are a group, a family, a church, whatever it may be, and you feel as though you've got a gift that God has given you, and you'd like to use that for His glory, get in touch with us. Let us know. And there may be some things that we never even thought about that would be possible to do as a missions trip. So we're always excited about learning new things and trying new things, new ways of glorifying the Lord. So you can reach us in a lot of different ways through our website, timeministries.org, which is right there, through our emails and so forth. We'd love to talk with you. So anything else before?
Well, and true, as you mentioned, that there's a lot of different ways. In some ways, even business people. And I know sometimes your vacation is very different than others and may not be in the school year. And that's okay, as we said, we're open year round. There are many men and women that have started their own personal businesses over the last few years that we are connected to and we see. So learning new business practices and how to start a business and what to be aware of, that would be a huge help for many that we see down here. And so I know I can think of even our ladies in the kitchen, many of them have started small side jobs of making, one has a pastry and a bakery. And so she makes amazing cakes and cupcakes and cookies and desserts and sweets. Another is a caterer and making small snack type empanadas and they call them croquetas. It's more like what did you call it?
It's kind of like a mozzarella stick in a way, but with chicken mixed in.
Right, with chicken instead. So really, it is amazing to see. That is one thing I've seen about Dominicans. They're very entrepreneurial. That anything that they will see opportunities to work and to provide for their families. Family is really big. Oh, and we forgot to completely mention, today is Father's Day. Yes, I know, Father's Day was in June, but today is Dominican Father's Day. So happy Dominican Father's Day.
Thank you.
And so really, we honestly get to celebrate two of everything, because it never falls on the same day. In May, Mother's Day for the States is the second Sunday of May. In the Dominican Republic, it's the last Sunday in May. And so that the families, someone told me this, so that the families have more time to acquire funds to celebrate Father's Day, they extended it to July. And so the last Sunday in July is Father's Day in the Dominican Republic. But it's the second Sunday in June in the States. So today is actually Father's Day, and so many are out celebrating with family. Also, the curfew has been extended even more, and so now really it's practically back to normal. We are still wearing masks, we are still taking those precautions, social distancing as much as possible, but no, it is nice to see life a little bit more back to normal. Stores open later, restaurants open, being able to even take the kids out, hopefully this week, for the celebration of our birthdays. So.
Yes. Cindy was mentioning my birthday at the beginning of our broadcast, but hers is coming up on Wednesday the 28th, so we've got, don't forget to wish her a happy birthday too. So I think that covers everything we wanted to talk about this month. Remember, time for coffee, the last Sunday of each month. Please join us at the end of August. And
if you've missed
the other ones, they are online on our YouTube page. Just do a web search for Time Ministries, and they're under a playlist called Time for Coffee. Yeah. So we have those. We had Doretta last week, and we don't know if you saw our post today. Doretta is in Oregon. She's making pies.
Yes.
She's doing well. Yeah. If you're wondering how Doretta is, she's making pies. So
and she's 98.
Yes, amen.
She turned 98, and she was here in the DR, and they had a wonderful celebration for her here before she headed home. So actually, yes, today is not only Father's Day, it is Pastor Rudy. Mm-hmm. Those of you that know our partner church next door, it's Pastor Rudy's birthday also. And he also celebrated, I think, over 40 years, more than 40 years of ministry too today. So it's been kind have a big celebration.
July is a month of birthdays. Kenny had a birthday last week, right?
Yes.
Kenny's birthday
Kenny
was
had-
last week.
And his wife, too.
Uh-huh.
Kenny had his birthday earlier in the month. His wife just last week. And
Noe's son William.
William
his
is on the
birthday.
2nd.
Yeah.
But Becca was the 27th of June. So yeah, we have a lot of birthdays and a lot of celebrations really close together.
We've been eating a lot of cake.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of which, we got to wrap up this broadcast so I can get to this dessert. So, thank you so much for joining us. Keep following us, timeministries.org. Follow us on the Time Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, all that social media. We love keeping you informed about the amazing things that God is doing here in the Dominican Republic. We thank you for your partnership, for your continued prayers, and also for your participation. We'd love to see you serving here in the DR. So please get in touch with us. God bless. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next month.